Hi guys, my name is Mariel Alaban from Bachelor of Elementary Education, major in General Curriculum. So today we will be talking about biological science. So are you ready to unlock the secrets of life? To explore the intricate dance of molecules, the breathtaking diversity of ecosystems, and the very essence of what makes us living beings? Welcome in the series. We'll embark on an exciting journey through the vast and fascinating world of biological. We'll delve into the fundamental principles that govern life, from the microscopic realm of cells and DNA to the grand scale of ecological systems and human psychology. We'll uncover the building blocks of life, understand how organisms adapt and evolve, and explore the cutting-edge technology that are transforming our understanding of biology and medicine. Whether you're a student, a lifelong learner, or simply curious about the world around you, this is your invitation to join us. We'll break down the complex concepts into digestible insights using captivating visuals and real-world examples to bring biology to life, prepared to be amazed, inspired, and enlightened as we explore the wonders of biological science together. Let's begin. So the first learning competency we will tackle is all about plant and biology. So demonstrate familiarity with the classification of plants and animals and their basic needs for survival. So let's define first what is biological science. Biological science, also known as biology, is the scientific study of life and living organisms. It is a broad and diverse field that encompasses the study of living things from the simplest bacteria to a complex humans and their ecosystem. So biological science is a vast and fascinating field that is central to our understanding of the natural world. From the structure of the cell to the complexity of ecosystems, biology is the essential part of our daily lives. Whether it is understanding of the mechanism of biological processes, developing new treatments for diseases, or preserving the natural world, biological science is a crucial for our well-being and the future of our planet. So the first one, we have the foundation of life or the classification. So when we say classification, it is the organizing living things based on the shared characteristics. We have also the hierarchical system, kingdom, phylum division, class, order, family, genus, and species. So understanding life begins with organization. We use a hierarchical system to classify organisms, grouping them based on shared characteristics. So this system helps us to trace evolutionary relationships and appreciate the vast diversity of life. Plant and animals, while both living, occupy distinct kingdoms, each with unique features. Consider how a simpler flower and a complex mammal are categorized with this framework. So that is the foundation of life according to their classifications. Next, we have the basic needs for survival or the energy flow. So let's talk about photosynthesis. So what is photosynthesis? It is a biological process utilized by the green plants to synthesize their own nutrients. The process requires solar energy, water, and carbon dioxide. So as we can see in the picture, we can see the sun. So it is where the photosynthesis starts. So during the photosynthesis, light energy is captured and using convert water carbon dioxide and minerals into oxygen. So, life requires energy. Plants as producers are vital in capturing energy from sunlight through photosynthesis. This energy then moves through ecosystem as consumers eat plants or other animals. Decomposers play a crucial role in recycling nutrients, ensuring the continuous flow of energy and materials. The sun is the initial source of almost of all energy on Earth. It is important to understand the role of each part of an ecosystem and how those parts interact. So, without photosynthesis, there is no, without sun, we cannot undergo photosynthesis. So next, we have the cellular universe. So what is cell? Cell is the basic unit of life. Eukaryotic cell with a nucleus and organelles. So when we say prokaryotic, it's a cell without a nucleus. But when we say organelles, structures with specific functions. So the cell is the fundamental unit of life. Eukaryotic cells found in plants and animals have membrane-bound organelles, including the nucleus, which houses DNA. Prokaryotes, like bacteria, lack these organelles. So bacteria don't have prokaryotic cells. So organelles like mitochondria and chloroplast perform essential functions, while vacuoles store materials and maintain cell structures. And all cells have cytoplasm, as you can see to our diagram, a plasma membrane and DNA. Plants also have a cell wall. Understanding the structures and functions of these components is crucial for comprehending life processes. Next is we have the chemistry of life or the biological molecules. So we can see in the lower part carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, we all know, example, the rice is the number one source of energy, the building block, which is the monosaccharides. Next, we have the proteins. Proteins is the structural and functional roles, which building block is the amino acids. So we have the lipids or the energy storage and cell membrane. The building block is the fatty acids. The last one is the nucleic acid or the genetic information. The building blocks of the nucleotides. So life is built from biological molecules. Carbohydrates provide energy, proteins perform diverse functions, and lipids form cell membranes, and nucleic acid store genetic information. So each molecule has specific building blocks that determine its properties and roles. Monosaccharides, amino acids, fatty acids, and nucleotides are the building blocks of these larger molecules. What are those molecules? These are the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. The interaction of these molecules drive all biological processes. So those are the biological molecules. Again, there are all the properties and the building blocks have their properties and roles. So the monosaccharides from the carbohydrates, amino acid from the proteins, fatty acids from the lipids, and nucleotides from the nucleic acid. Next is we have the plant adaptation or the strategies for survival. So how does the plant survive in this various weather? So what is adaptation? A trait that helps an organisms survive. Structural, physical features, and physiological internal process. So plants have evolved remarkable adaptation to survive in diverse environment. This adaptation can be structural, like specialized leaves for water, for conservation, or physiological, like the ability to withstand extreme temperature. Plants have Plants have adaptation that allow them to live in a deserts, rainforests, and many other biomes. Understanding this adaptation helps explain how plants thrive in different habitats. So we all know that in deserts we have the cactus, which cactus can live without water because the body of the cactus already have a water. So cactus can live in the desert. So that is an example of plant adaptation. Next is we have the animal adaptation, survival, and behavior. So after the plant adaptation, let's talk about how animals survive the different environment. So we have animals display a wide range of adaptation, both structural and behavioral. So structural adaptation, like camouflage, help animals survive. So there are animals undergo camouflage if um, they can see that there is a predator, so they will undergo camouflage to protect themselves. So it helps animals survive, of course. Behavioral adaptations such as migration are action animals takes to survive. So if, for example, if that tree is being cut, so of course the bird being living there will migrate to another places to survive. So muscles, tissues, smooth skeletal or cardiac all have different structural and functional properties. So you see this part of the camel, that circle, big circle at the back is have a water or storage that the camel can survive in a very hot weather. So these adaptations are essential for survival and reproduction. Understanding this adaptation provides insights into how animals interact with their environment. So through their different functions of their body, they can survive in the or interact with their different environment. So next we have the cycle of life reproduction. So how life reproduce. So we have the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction needs to have a two um, parents to have a young. But in asexual reproduction, only one parent and they can produce a young. Like the hydra. Hydra can produce another hydra without the help of the female or male hydra. So reproduction is essential for the continuation of life. Sexual reproduction involves the fusion of gametes, resulting in genetic diversity. Asexual reproduction produces offspring genetically identical to the parent. Gametes, egg, and sperm are specialized reproductive cells. Somatic cells are the other cells of the body. Genetic diversity increases the survival of a species. So when we understand the processes of reproduction, is the fundamental to understand life continuity. So by that, we can understand how plants, animals, or humans reproduce. Next, we have the biodiversity hotspot, the Philippines. So we all know that Philippines is rich in biodiversity, and we have the variety of life in an ecosystem. So ecosystem is the community of interacting organisms. So we have the famous forest, which is the deep Turicap forest. So the Philippines is a biodiversity hotspot, home to a wealth of plant and animal life. But diversity ecosystems such as rainforests and coral reefs support a wide range of species. It is important to conserve these areas because it will help us our ecosystem to make more beautiful and avoid different calamity. So, Dipterocarp is a forest are the most common type of rainforest. So what is the most common type of rainforest? It is the deep pterocarp forest. Mangroves protect shorelines and act as nurseries for many marine species. So we all know that fishes will lay their eggs or hide in the mangroves. Understanding the importance of this ecosystem is crucial for conservation. So by understanding this, we know how to conserve and protect our biodiversity. Next, learning competency is all about plant and animal biology also, but 1.2 show how plants and animals maintain homeostasis and energy acquisition for sustainability. So we continue our exploration into how plants and animals maintain homeostasis and acquire energy, crucial for their survival and the sustainability of the life. So we have there maintaining balance, homeostasis, and energy life. Plant reproduction and adaptation. So underground stems modified or reproduction, vegetative production or asexual propagation. Some of the plants are we just cut and plant the stem that we cut, it will reproduce another plant. So plants utilize various methods for reproduction. Underground stems, for instance, are modified to facilitate vegetation reproduction, allowing new plants to grow from existing structures. So this is a key adaptation for survival and propagation. But some of the plants we need as seeds to reproduce or the production of the plant. So without the seeds, we cannot have the another plant. But some of the plant, we can have the stem to plant, then it will grow. So next, we have the sensory adaptation and response. So we have here the human eye. We have the parts of the eye, the eyelid, the conjunctive, pupil, the iris, and the sclera. So pupils adjustment adapting to light changes. So our pupil will adapt the light changes around us. So if we close our eyes and then we open our eyes, the pupil will adjust first before it will adjust the light. Sensory adaptation or the maintaining clear vision. So the sensory adaptation will the one to maintain the clear vision of our eye. So our eyes adapt to varying light conditions. So what I have said earlier, our eyes will adapt the different light conditions around us. The pupil's ability to dilate or constrict is a sensory adaptations that ensure clear visions. So our pupil will dilate or constrict is a sensory adaptation that ensure the clear vision, demonstrating the body's capability to maintain homeostasis. So our pupil is the one who dilate or constrict to adapt the different light conditions around us. So next we have the atmospheric condition and biological responses. So we can see here how cloud formation occur and the the water cycle and the cloud formation. So what is humidity? Humidity is the water vapor in the air. Condensation is the heat release of the water. Atmospheric change is the influencing temperature. So changes in atmospheric conditions such as increased humidity and condensation affect temperature. Of course, if there is a changes of the humidity and the condensation, it will affect our temperature. So the release of heat during the condensation is why we often feel warmer before it rains. So illustrating the interplay between weather and biological responses. So if the air arises, it will cause. So those are the atmospheric condition and biological responses. Next is we have the symbiotic relationship. So we have here the lichen. What is lichen? A lichen is an organism that consists of a symbiotic relationship between fungi and photosynthetic algae or cyanobacteria. So when we say symbiosis, it is the interdependent species interaction. Lichen is the algae and the fungi mutualism. So when we say symbiotic relationship like that of algae and fungi in lichen, demonstrate how species interact for mutual benefit. This is a form of symbiosis where both organisms rely on each other for survival. So without the fungi, algae will not survive. Without the algae, the fungi will not survive. So that is the example of symbiotic relationship. So they will rely to each other for survival. So next is we have the photosynthesis and energy production. So dark reaction, sugar produced and the end product, sugar or the glucose. So during dark reaction phase of the photosynthesis, sugar is produced. This is a critical step in energy acquisition for plants as sugar serves as the primary energy source. So the sugar is the primary source of energy of the plant. So without the sugar, does not require light to proceed, unlike the light-dependent reaction. So we have here water transport in plants. So transpiration is the water movement. When we say transpiration, it is the water movement, then upward movement in the tall trees. So transpiration is the process responsible for the upward movement of water in tall trees. So without the transpiration, there is no process of moving upward of water in tall trees from the ground. The evaporation of water from leaves creates a pulling force, enabling water to reach great heights. So without the evaporation process, the water in the ground will not be moving upward to the upper part of the tree. So that is the water transport in plants. So from the roots, it will travel to the stem and to the leaves. Next is we have the animal defense mechanism. We all know that all the animals have defense mechanism to protect themselves from the predator. So we have here the example of the snake. So the snake have the venom, which is we can see it from the salivary gland. So we can get in their saliva. When we say defense mechanism, it is where or it is the used to protect themselves from the traits. So the toxin substance secreted by the bees and the ants through their sting originate from the modified salivary gland. So if the bee stung us, so we can feel unfortunate feelings. So that is the toxin substance from their salivary glands. This defense mechanism is crucial for their survival. So they use that substance to protect themselves and to survive this environment. So next we have the skeletal support and protection. So we can see here our backbone. When we say vertebral column, it is the spinal cord protection. So the protection of the spinal cord is called the vertebral column. Flexible support or the movement and protection. So the vertebral column provides flexible support and protection to the spinal cord. This structure is essential for movement and safeguarding the nervous system. So vertebral column is used to protect our spinal cord. So next is we have the reflexes action or the reflexes arc. Reflex is the automatic stimulus response. Involuntary action, quick response. So when we say reflexes are automatic responses to internal stimuli. This involuntary action occur rapidly, providing immediate protection. So that is the reflex action. So in this learning competency, we explore the fascinating ways plants and animals maintain homeostasis and acquire energy, crucial for their survival. From plant reproduction and sensory adaptation to the interplay of atmospheric condition and symbiotic relationships, we've seen the intricate mechanism that sustain life. We've examined photosynthesis, water transport, and animal defense mechanism. So we also highlight during this competency the importance in energy reproduction and survival. So finally, we've looked at skeletal support and reflex action, emphasizing the body's remarkable ability to protect and respond. This example illustrates the diversity strategies living organisms employ to thrive, reinforcing the crucial role of homeostasis and energy acquisition in the sustainability of life. So next we have the learning competency number 2, genetics, which is the illustrate the rules of chromosomes and genes in the genetic technology. We continue our exploration into how plants and animals maintain homeostasis and acquire energy. So now in this learning competency, let's move forward and explore the fascinating world of genetic inheritance, focusing on the roles of chromosomes and genes in genetic technology. So without further ado, let's continue. So first, we have here the mutations and genetic modification. So we have here natural radioactivity, or which is the process of mutation. So without the natural radioactivity, there is no mutations. So Agrobacterium tumefacins used in genetic modification. So we use Agrobacterium tumefacins to have a genetic modification. So when we say mutation, mutations can arise from natural radioactivity, alerting the genetic makeup of organisms. So in the genetic technology, microbes like Agrobacterium tumefacins play a crucial role in creating genetically modified organisms by transferring desired genes into plants. So that is the mutation and genetic modification. So let's move on to DNA to protein or transcription and RNA. So transcription, DNA to mRNA, messenger RNA or the mRNA carries genetic information. So we have here the DNA, and the process from DNA to mRNA is called the transcription. So this is the DNA, and the process from DNA to the mRNA is called the transcription, and mRNA to mRNA to protein is called, the process is called translation. The translation. So the process of transcription involves creating the mRNA using DNA as a template. So this mRNA carries genetic information from the DNA to the ribosomes, where it's used to synthesize proteins. So that is the process of generating DNA to protein. Next, we have the meiosis and chromosome behavior. So metaphase 1 of meiosis. So meiotic metaphase is chromosome aligned as terans. Double chromatids is called the paired chromosomes. So during the metaphase in meiosis, chromosomes align as tetrads, consisting of double chromatids. This alignment is crucial for the proper segregation of genetic material. So without the chromosome aligned as tetrads, there is no segregation of genetic material. So it is very crucial for the proper segregation. Next is we have the metamorphosis. Incomplete metamorphosis, so egg, nymph, and adult. So grasshopper is a sample of the incomplete metamorphosis because grasshopper from egg to nymph to adult. It didn't undergo like the butterfly from pupa, egg from pupa, but the grasshopper is from egg direct to nymph and directly to adult grasshopper. So grasshoppers undergo incomplete metamorphosis, which includes the egg, nymph, and adult stage. This process involves gradual changes without a pupal stage. So we all know that grasshopper didn't undergo the pupal stage like the butterfly. So it is called the incomplete metamorphosis with a egg, nymph, and the adult. So next we have the chromosomes and genes, roles and relationships. So chromosomes, the stores genetic information which is the DNA, gene segments of DNA on chromosomes, and traits and function determined by the genes. So chromosome stores genetic information in the form of DNA. So chromosome will store information in the form of DNA. Genes are specific segment of DNA located on the chromosome. So where did the chromosome located? Or where did the specific segment of DNA located? It is located in the chromosomes, and they determine traits and functions. This relationship is fundamental to inheritance. Next, let's move on to our another learning competency under genetics, the 2.2, identify the benefits derived from genetic technology in the fields of medicine and agriculture. So we explore the role of chromosomes and genes in a genetic technology. Now let's move forward and see how these advancements translate into real-world benefits, specifically in medicine and agriculture. So next is we have enhancing agricultural productivity. So during drought resistance, crops thrive with reduced water. So we can see the soil are broken because of the drought, and some of it are caused by the pest. So, genetic modification enhances agricultural productivity by developing crops that can thrive in challenging conditions. So, farmers nowadays are developing crops that will survive this kind of condition or weather. So, this includes creating drought-resistant varieties that require less water and crops that are resistant to pests and diseases. So they are um, making plants or finding plants that is require less water, and those crops that is will survive from pests and other plant diseases to ensure a better yields even in the harsh environments like salty soils. So we have the genetic technology in terms of medicine. So, hereditary disease identifying, manipulating faulty genes. So, when we say hereditary, it will pass from through generation to generation. So, in medicine, genetic technology helps treat hereditary diseases by identifying and manipulating faulty genes. Gene therapy aims to fix these mutant genes as their source, offering potential cures rather than just managing symptoms. So doctors will find a cure rather than managing symptoms. So this includes developing therapies to combat cancer and hereditary diseases. We have the picture of the papaya addressing specific agricultural challenges. So it is where farmers will face different challenges in their plants, like the papaya ring spot virus. So this is the example of the papaya ring spot virus. We can see the skin of the papaya. We can see like a ring, green ring. It is called the papaya ring spot virus. So genetic technology provides solutions to specific agricultural challenges. For example, it can develop papaya crops resistance or ring spot virus, saving entire industry. So because of the genetic technology, farmers can save their papaya plant from ring spot virus. So similarly, CRISPR technology is used to create flood-resistant rice, ensuring yields despite challenging conditions. So let's talk about the sustainability in agriculture. So genetic technology again contributes to sustainability by developing crops varieties that reduce nutrient runoff into rivers and bays. So this helps minimize the environmental impact of agriculture, promoting sustainable farming practices. So because of the genetic technology, we can help the farmers to make their crops healthy and avoid from many diseases. Next is we have the addressing food shortage. So drought-resistant crops thriving in harsh environments. So that's why the farmers are developing the drought-resistant crops, those crops that will thrive in the harsh condition so that their crops will survive in the harsh condition of our weather or the different diseases that will cause the damage of the crops. So next competency, we have the cell and molecular biology. Under cell and molecular biology, we have the 3.1 distinguish between cell and molecule, exhibit the characteristics function of the fundamental unit of life. So we explore the benefits of genetic technology in the medicine and agriculture. Now let's move forward and delve into the foundational aspects of cellular biology, distinguishing between cells and molecules and examining the functions of the cell. So first we can see the cell. Cell is the basic units of life composed of molecules. So molecules is the building blocks of cells, simpler structures. So the building blocks of cell is the molecules. And we have here the cell carry out complex life process and maintain homeostasis reproduce. When we say molecules involved in simpler chemical reaction essential for cellular function. So cell are the basic units of life. Again, what is the basic units of life? Cells. Cells are the basic units of life, composed of various molecules. So these molecules are simpler structures, the building blocks of the cell, like the DNA and the proteins. So cell can carry out complex life processes. It will maintain the homeostasis, reproduce, while molecules are involved in simpler chemical reaction but are crucial for cellular function. So cell is the basic unit of life. So next, we can see here the cell wall and mitochondria, the plant cell on the mitochondria. So cell wall of the plant cell, structure, support, and shape. The mitochondria, energy generation, or the cellular respiration. So in plant cell, the cell wall provides the structural support and maintains cell shape. So this is the cell wall. So without this, it will not support or maintain the cell shape. Then mitochondria are essential for energy generation through cellular respiration, breaking down glucose to produce ATP. Next, we have the cellular regeneration and membrane transport. So, stem cell for liver repair. So the nucleus is primarily responsible for cellular regeneration. So again, the nucleus is the responsible for cellular regeneration, allowing cells like liver cell to repair themselves. So without the nucleus, the liver cell will not repair themselves because the nucleus will the one allow the cell to repair themselves. Passive transport involves the movement of molecules across the cell membrane from one area of higher concentration to lower concentration without energy input. So that is the nucleus responsible for cellular regeneration. Next, we have here the lysosomes and cellular waste. So we can see here the animal cell, the membrane, hydraulic enzyme, and the transport protein. So when we say lysosome, it is breaking down and recycling of cellular waste. So lysosomes are responsible for the breaking down and recycling of cellular waste and foreign substances, ensuring the cell remains clean and functional. So, lysosomes are the responsible to ensure that our cell remains clean and functional. So, without the lysosomes, it will not be clean and functional. Next is we have the cell membrane and the cytoskeleton and the cell membrane. Cell membrane maintains homeostasis, regulates ion and water concentration, and cytoskeleton structural support, cell adhesion, and the shape. Cell membrane plays a crucial role in maintaining cellular homeostasis by regulating the concentration of ions and water. So the cytoskeleton provides structural support, maintains cell shape, and is essential for cell adhesion. This functional cytoskeleton can lead to irregular cell shape as seen in the cancer cell. If there is a dysfunctional cytoskeleton, it will sin the cancer cell because of the irregular cell shape. So we need to have regular cell shape to avoid cancer cells. Next, we have the anaphase. So during anaphase in cell division, sister chromatids are separated to opposite poles of the cells, ensuring each daughter cell receive a complete set of chromosomes. So during anaphase in cell division, the cell chromatids will be separated to the opposite poles of the cell so that the daughter cell will receive a complete set of chromosomes. When we say anaphase, the separation of sister chromatids. So next, competency under microbiology and parasitology. So we have the 4.1, demonstrate understanding of disease causing microorganism collectively known as microbes, and 4.2, distinguish bacteria, protists, and viruses effects on humans. So we already distinguished between cells and molecules and explored the characteristics and function of cells. Now let's move forward and delve into the world of microorganisms and their role in causing diseases. So first, we have the bacterial infection and antibiotic resistance. So the example here is that tuberculosis or the TB. So incomplete treatment leads to resistance. So incomplete antibiotic treatment for bacterial infection like tuberculosis or TB, it can lead to bacterial resistance, making future treatments difficult. So if you are taking antibiotic for tuberculosis, when you need to finish it and make sure that you are clear with the infection. So during hospital outbreaks of MRSA, it's crucial to isolate infected patients and implement strict hygiene protocols to prevent spread. Like we have experienced years ago, the coronavirus, we are isolated and infected patients are implemented to undergo quarantine to prevent the spread of the virus. Next is viral infection and immunity. We have the measles. Vaccine effectiveness depends on immune response. So vaccine effectiveness for viral diseases like measles depends on the individual's immune response. Viruses like HIV require host cells to replicate, making antiviral drugs that prevent entry or replication essential for the treatment of the HIV viruses. Next, we have the waterborne diseases and prevention. So we have the cholera, improved sanitation, access to clean water. So the prevention, long-term solutions are key. Outbreaks of waterborne diseases like cholera caused by Vibrio cholerae can be prevented through improved sanitation and access to clean drinking water. So we can get this kind of bacteria or diseases through the dirty water. So we need to access to clean drinking water. So long-term solutions are critical for preventing future outbreaks. So next we have the protozoan and fungal infection. So we have here the malaria or the Plasmodium falciparum. Investigate genetic mutation for targeted treatments. So we have also here the Athlete Foods use antifungal medication. So for protozoan infection like malaria caused by Plasmodium falciparum, combating drug resistance involves investigating genetic mutations and developing targeted treatments. Fungal infections like athlete's foot caused by Trichophyton rubrum are best treated with specific antifungal medication. Next, we have the foodborne illness and prevention. So, a while ago, we talked about the waterborne illness, and now we have here the foodborne. We have the salmonella prevent through proper cooking and hygiene. So when you are cooking your food, you need to cook it properly to avoid foodborne illness. So foodborne illness like those caused by salmonella can be prevented by ensuring proper cooking temperatures and hygiene practices during food preparation. So we need to have a proper hygiene during food preparation. Food safety is crucial to prevent such infection on a larger scale. So this is the fourth step to food safety. We have to clean, separate, cook, and chill. We have also here the travel-related diseases and prevention. So we are familiar with malaria. So for individuals traveling to tropical regions, taking Prophylactic antimalarial medication is the most effective preventive measure against diseases like malaria. Next, we have the anatomy and physiology. We have the 5.1 exhibit understanding of the functions, diseases, and care for the 12 system of the body. 5.2 discuss the recent invention that have immune system and health and longevity of life. We've explored the diverse world of causing diseases, microorganisms, and the importance of prevention and treatment. Now let's move forward and delve into the fascinating world of human anatomy and medical advancement that enhance our health and longevity. So we have here the core body system and their functions. We have the circulatory system, transport oxygen and nutrients, the skeletal system, protection and support, respiratory system, gas exchange, integumentary system, regulates temperature and protects. And the last one, we have the nervous system, brain and spinal cord control. The circulatory system transports oxygen, nutrients throughout the body. The skeletal system provides protection and support. The respiratory system facilitates gas exchange. The integumentary system regulates body temperature and protects against environmental hazards. The nervous system includes the brain and the spinal cord control body function. So those are the core body system and their functions. So, additional body system under function, we have the lymphatic system. Excretory system, remove waste from the word excrete. Lymphatic system, fluid balance and infection defense. Endocrine system, growth, metabolism, and hormones. We have the muscular system, movement, and temperature regulation. So, the excretory system removes waste products from the body. The lymphatic system maintains fluid balance and defense against infections. The endocrine system controls growth, metabolism, and hormone production. And lastly, the muscular system enables movement and regulates body temperature. We have the common diseases of the body system. We have the asthma and the hypertension. Common diseases affecting body system include asthma, which inflames the airways in the respiratory system, and hypertension, a disease of the circulatory system characterized by the high blood pressure. So we are familiar with asthma and high blood pressure or the hypertension. Next, we have the medical imaging and early detection. So we have the MRI scanning. So invention like MRI scanning have significantly improved the early detection of diseases, allowing for timely intervention and treatment. So because of the MRI scanner, we can detect the early detection of the diseases, and we have also the early intervention and treatment. Next is we have the vaccine and gene editing. So vaccine prevent infectious diseases and CRISPR corrects genetic disorder. So we all know that vaccine play a crucial role in preventing infectious diseases, enhancing longevity. Gene editing technology like CRISPR offer the potential to correct genetic disorder at the source. Next, we have the organ transplant and surgical innovations. So immunosuppressive drugs have revolutionized organ transplant by reducing rejection risk. Robotic surgery enhances precision and minimizes invasiveness in surgical procedures and improving patient outcomes. So this is the example of organ transplant and surgical innovation. Next, we have the pandemic response and wearable technology. We have the mRNA vaccine key in pandemic response, wearable fitness devices, monitor vital signs and remote health. And we also have the telemedicine devices. mRNA medicines have played a key role in global health during pandemics. Wearable fitness devices contribute to longevity by monitoring vital signs and promoting healthy habits. Telemedicine devices enable remote patient monitoring for chronic diseases. So we use telemedicine devices to monitor for chronic diseases. We have the 3D printing in healthcare. So 3D printing creates customized prosthetics and implants. And 3D printing is in healthcare allows for the creation of customized prosthetics and implants, improving patient-specific treatment. So we transition from the microscopic world of microbes to the microscopic realm of human anatomy and medical innovation. So we explore the functions of the body system from circulation and respiration to the endocrine and lymphatic system and touch a common diseases like asthma and hypertension. We also highlighted the transformative power of medical technology, including the MRI scanners, vaccine, gene editing, robotic surgery, and 3D printing, all contributing to empowered health and longevity. This knowledge underscores the remarkable advancement in healthcare and the continuous pursuit of a healthier future. So, we embark on a comprehensive journey through the fundamental principles of life sciences. We explore a wide range of topics, from the basic building blocks of life to the complexities of human physiology and medical advancements. So we begin with understanding how living organisms are organized and classified, appreciating the diversity and interconnectedness of plants and animals. So we also delve into the cellular and molecular levels, recognizing the cell as the fundamental unit of life and exploring the roles of DNA and genes in the inheritance and technology. We examine also the impact of microorganisms on health, understanding how they cause diseases and the importance of prevention and treatment. We then explore the human body's intricate system, their function, and the recent intervention that have significantly improved our health and longevity. Throughout our exploration in this biological science, we emphasize the interconnectedness of all living things and the importance of understanding these biological principles. From the smallest molecules to complex ecosystem, life is a dynamic and interconnected web. So we have a connection to all the living things here on Earth. So this journey is just the beginning. The field of life sciences is constantly evolving, and there is always more to discover. So, I encourage you to continue your pursuit of knowledge, to explore further, and to apply what you have learned to better understand and appreciate the world around you. So, aside from that, we we can see in the screen the organization and classification of life, the fundamental role of cells and molecules, the mechanism of genetic inheritance and technology, the impact of microorganisms on health, the complexity and advancement in human anatomy and physiology, the interconnectedness of life, and the continuing a pursuit of knowledge. So we need to continue learning after this. So thank you so much everyone for listening. I hope you learned something about our topic for today, which is about the biological science. Just remember that all the living things living in this world are connected with us. And also the farmers are doing their job to make our food. We will not be experiencing food shortages during drought because they are using the technology to prevent and make the plants survive during that kind of activity. Thank you, everyone.